Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. Today we are talking about the second game of the Disney Classics game collection on the Nintendo Switch, The Lion King. There are a couple different versions for this game on this collection. I ended up playing the Sega version because that is the version that I am most familiar with. I do actually own the physical copy of this Sega game. And I have played it before, but I've never gotten that far. I think the farthest I've ever gotten in this game was the Stampede with the Wildebeest. It's just a really tough game, but I guess I'll get into that later. So you start the game as Simba as a child, similar to how the movie does, and then later on you do become a full-grown lion. You have a couple different moves. The unique one in this game probably being the roar. You have this little roar meter that will recharge over time, and depending on how full the roar meter is how effective it is, I guess. Basically, when you roar at minor characters, they get stunned. Like in the very first episode, there's porcupines running back and forth, and you can't just straight up jump on them Mario style. You gotta roar at them to flip them over. But if your roar meter is empty, it doesn't successfully flip them over. Other characters just kind of shudder in fear. And then, so you also have your little jump, a la Mario style, where you can jump at enemies to defeat them. I feel like the jump itself can be a pretty frustrating mechanic in this game. When you think about it, you're playing as a four-legged character. For some reason, the designers of this game thought it would be a good idea to have certain areas on top of the animal that would hurt you even if you jump on top of them. Think something like the hyenas. If you jump on their heads, you're going to take damage rather than them. And so you have to make sure to jump on their backs, not their heads. And it's just kind of frustrating because of how wide your character is. It's hard to get a good gauge on where you're supposed to land. Vultures are another frustrating one in this aspect. You can't land on their beak because you'll take the damage. Lots of cases like this. You can't exactly tell where you're going to land. I feel like as far as platforming goes, they do try to make this a little bit better with a ledge grab. So like if you almost make it to the ledge, you'll just grab onto the ledge and then you can hoist yourself up. Unfortunately, this isn't like Super Smash where you are immune to damage for a couple seconds when you're grabbing onto the ledge. Enemies can still hit you while you're hanging, and then you'll just fall down to the ground. To your detriment, that usually results in loss of a life. And it just seems like the hitboxes of this game are just so wonky, you know? Like, there's certain times where you have to, like, swing yourself from pole to pole, and it just seems like it has to be, like, right in front of you when you're swinging, otherwise your character will not grab onto the next pole. He'll just fall back down. It's kind of like the similar problem that Aladdin had, where when you do detailed platforms like this for a 16-bit game, it's just kind of hard to tell what type of land you can interact with and what's just there for decoration, which could mean another resulted loss of life when the character doesn't do what you're trying to make it do. It just is very frustrating. Like, and the characters themselves, I talked about the hyenas, they'll do this little bite move, and you can never really tell how far back you have to be to avoid the bites. Like, sometimes straight up hyenas just fall from the top of the screen and land right on top of you, resulting on you taking damage. It's very glitchy in that way. It just, there's no polish to it. And you can see why it would be pretty frustrating for your platformer game when the combat and the platforming is both very inconsistent. I feel like the enemies themselves are just so weird and glitchy. Like, it seems like sometimes when you're progressing through, enemies will just come out of nowhere and damage you, like, off the screen, which can be really frustrating. I guess all I can really say is I'm super glad that this collection has a rewind button, because I was saying that I really abused that in Aladdin. I felt like my left button, my left trigger, got more use than the X button. That's like your little swipe move when you're an adult Simba. I just feel like I was constantly rewinding over and over again because of just all the lame stuff, you know? I remember being really frustrated trying to play this game through this as the Sega, and, you know, Autumn's just sitting there laughing at me the whole time, taunting me, because I guess she says that she didn't beat it all the way through, but she says that her sisters and cousins have, and she was there to witness it. Although I refuse to believe that anyone could legitimately beat this game on the original Sega version. It just seems like it's just so unfair and frustrating, especially with a life system. It definitely doesn't seem as generous as Aladdin was in the terms of healing items, continues lives, that kind of stuff. I felt like the bonus games in this one were more enjoyable than in Aladdin. Aladdin, though. If you recall, the Aladdin game just has like these gems that fall and then rocks that you have to avoid. The bonus game in this one, there's two, and one is where Timon, he drops bugs, and you're playing as Pumbaa, and you have to collect the bugs as they fall and before they hit the ground. It can be a little tricky, though, because some bugs are falling faster than others, so you just kind of have to time. But I feel like this was a lot more enjoyable and more manageable. You can actually tell where things are going to be coming from. And then the other little bonus game is you're playing as Timon, and you have to platform across this area, avoid all the spiders because they're poisonous, but you have to collect the other bugs. This one wasn't as fun as the one where you play as Pumbaa, but I think both are more manageable than the Aladdin one playing as Abu. The music was okay. I think the main joy of this game as a whole would be the reference material that it's basing its game off of, the property of Lion King. Love the music, love the look of the Lion King, and I think that's where the joy of the music comes from. If it was just some generic music, I felt like it wasn't really anything to write home about. Granted, most of Lion King's soundtrack is kind of more mood setting rather than upbeat, but I even just like the just can't wait to be king level, I felt like aesthetically it was really fun, very colorful, but the music itself just kind of felt bland. I felt like it could have been a lot more enjoyable, especially compared to the Aladdin music. I felt like there was a lot more care put into that soundtrack. The animation just seems kind of choppy, kind of more what you would expect of a Sega game. I just feel like I was more spoiled with Aladdin. I wonder if I should have started with this game before Aladdin, but then again, after playing through this game, I'm not sure if I would be too excited to check out what the other game of the collection was. But the background's just fun. I love the reference material. You know, you can see like Pride Rock looming in the background. I love the movie. I just feel like that's the only joy you can get from this game, is if you love the movie, then it's just kind of fun seeing all this stuff in 16-bit video game style. I gotta imagine, though, that if this was not based off of a beloved movie, then this game would have been lost to the sands of time a long time ago. It's just not a fun game. It's glitchy, it's tough, it's uninspired. As for the collection itself, it didn't have any like modern documentary video. In Aladdin, it's like talking to the creators of the video game nowadays, which I thought was really fun. But as far as bonus material for this game goes, it's just showing old documentary clips like when this game was first made. It's talking about like the new hit Lion King. And I would have loved to hear from the creators of this game now to see how they feel about the game now. There is the traditional like artwork and stuff that's fun to look through, though. And then there, like I mentioned before, there are the couple different versions of the game. I believe, so it says S version and N version, so I gotta imagine that's the Sega version and the Nintendo version. And then it has the two handheld versions, just the base, I think it's for Game Boy, the base Game Boy version, and then they have the colored Game Boy version. So still a lot of work done with the collection for this game, just not as much as Aladdin, I feel. I have so many gripes about this game, and finishing it last night, I was feeling nothing but frustrated. The fight against Scar was frustrating because you have to do a very specific thing. You have to like fling it over the cliff, but it's a mechanic that hasn't come into play yet. Like, I didn't even know that Simba could do that. I ended up having to look online. How the heck do you beat Scar? Because like you have to do a very specific thing to fling him off the ledge, like in the movie. But how was anyone supposed to know that? I'm not sure if it says in the manual or not, but still, it's just a frustrating game, and I did not enjoy my time playing through it, even though I do like the reference to Lion King. I think I will give this game a 1 out of 5. Yep, I'm going there with this game. Well, guys, that should be it for me. Let me know if you agree with my rating, or if I am just off my rocker. This is the best Sega game you've ever played. Please let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye!